Every writing guide out there tells you to torture your characters, make them suffer. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? But here's the thing, they're all asking the wrong question. A few years ago, I was working on a retelling of Much Ado About Nothing with Benedict and Beatrice both being women. And I knew that the reason I didn't want my character who was playing the part of Benedict to be interested in a relationship was because of some kind of past relationship trauma that had happened. And I remember bringing this problem to my writing group where I was saying, I need to understand her better. I need to figure out why she is so opposed to a relationship with Paige, my main character, my Beatrice. What is going on? What happened in her past? And they brought to me, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe she had a lover die in a car accident. I remember when I heard that, this part of me like felt repulsed almost on the inside of no, that's not the right answer. It's not a car accident. And the reason is because the worst possible thing is not the worst possible thing. That thing that Nano used to do of like, if you get stuck, add aliens, add a shark attack, throw them onto a different planet. I don't know. That can lead to melodrama and it doesn't actually do anything for your characters. In fact, if you're always putting your characters in situations that are the worst things that could happen, your readers aren't going to care. I know that for a long time when I was growing up, there were a ton of ads talking about how awful video games were for adolescent brains because it would numb us to the sense of violence. And there's a way that that's true, maybe not in terms of bringing us to violent actions ourselves, but when we're reading, we become numb to a certain level of torture for the characters and what they're going through. I remember I was editing a book once, and within the first 30%, a character had twisted an ankle and had a sting in his side and had broken an arm. It was just injury after injury after injury after injury, and the book had only just started. So that by the time that we get to the end of that book, when a more minor injury than all of the things that happened in the first 25% happened, I didn't care. So, what should you be asking instead? You should be looking at who your character is. What is the worst thing that could happen to them to break them of their unhelpful patterns? What is the worst thing that could happen if they wanted to stay stuck in a way of thinking? What crutch can we take away from them? How can we nudge them in the right direction? These are going to create better stories. What's going to make your readers care isn't a tortured character. It's a character who has to learn, who has to change and to grow and to become somebody different at the end of the story. So my Benedict character was not going to grow from an ex-fiance dying in a car accident. That wasn't going to give her the wound that she needed to make a relationship with Paige hard. What I ended up doing, what was the worst thing that could have happened in her past to make her who she is that she was ready to get married, that she was ready to propose. And on the day that she was going to propose, her girlfriend, her would be fiance, broke up with her. Now she doesn't trust commitment. The fear of commitment is a much stronger problem for that book. Now, if you're telling the story of a race car driver, a car accident is a great example. It's like Save the Last Dance, right? In Save the Last Dance, she's scared of dancing because she's equating dancing with her mother's death. The worst thing that can happen to her when she goes to this new school is meeting somebody who pushes her back into dance because it's going to break the lie of her past that her dancing is what caused her mother to die. There might be plenty of issues with that 25-year-old movie, including the dance at the end, but we get the right stakes for her character. We get the right problems to care. And it doesn't have to be any deeper than that. Characters start their arc with a lie they believe, with a worldview that they're beginning to outgrow. Maybe it served them before, but it's not anymore. And they'll have to shed it like a snake sheds its skin. Our job as the writer is not to bludgeon the snake over its head. It's to create friction that will start to peel that outdated armor away. In my own story, her ex broke up with her when she was ready to get married, and now she runs from anything that edges too close to commitment. Oh, and Paige, the Beatrice to her Benedict, she opens the book doing to her boyfriend exactly what the ex did to Bree, my Benedict. That is what makes it the worst thing that could have happened. That is what makes it a lie that she will need to learn to outgrow. And there's an inherent conflict because she watched Paige do the thing that hurt her. So, how is she going to trust her in a relationship? The friction then of the story and the banter and all of the things that make Much Ado About Nothing such a fun story to retell is then underlaid with this conflict, this character growth that needs to happen. Bree needs to learn how to trust commitment again. What is the worst thing that could happen is the wrong question. What's the worst thing that could happen to this character in this moment that forces them to grow? That is the right question to ask. I look forward to seeing you soon.